Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Daniela, this is my boyfriend Steven, and on my channel we do crafting, cooking, cocktails, all sorts of great stuff, and we are making a Mexican inspired meal today. Some beef and veggie fajitas with some pico de gallo, some elote, and I'm about to take the first bite. Fajitas are great so far. Now the elote, which I've eaten before but I've never made myself. Absolutely delicious. I'll have everything, of course, written for you down below, but if you want to see how I made this, stick around. By the way, this would pair amazing with a margarita. It is Sunday night, I gotta work tomorrow. We are not having a margarita tonight, but I have plenty other ones on my channel, and I'll be sure to have one in the future. What do you think?
I think it's excellent.
Awesome. All right, well, we're gonna eat dinner, and you can watch how we made this deliciousness. Hello, and welcome to my kitchen. So I am gonna start with, I have 3 recipes today. If I haven't already said that in the intro, we'll find out. But I'm going to start with making my pico de gallo, or like a fresh made salsa, basically. Not as creamy as like a salsa. But anyways, the pico de gallo is going to go on top. These are all like Mexican style recipes, but I'm just kind of making them the way I like them. So I'm going to start by cutting up some stuff, and my honey might help out and cut too, as my shoulder and my arm are hurting a little bit today. So I'm going to start with some tomatoes. Oh, my cat's nudging his head on the camera. Stop it. Okay. If you hear that jingling, it's Kobe. By the way, I'm using Roma tomatoes. You can use any tomatoes you like. It's really nice to get them fresh in the summer from like the farmer's market if you don't grow your own, because those are like always super juicy and delicious. Basically just slicing them up, and then I cut them in half, and then I cut them the other way in several little pieces. So I'm just dicing up my tomato here, and I am gonna fast forward so you guys don't have to watch this whole process.
She took my...
Okay, the tomato is all in there. I used about 3 Roma tomatoes. You can make this as big or as small as you want of a batch. I'm going to go into some red onion, chop that up. My honey's going to help me out because, again, my shoulder is hurting. Traditional pico de gallo uses white onion, but I like to use red onion better, so that's what I'm going to use. Just chopping up the ends here.
The old pickled de gallo.
Yeah. Split it in half. If you guys watched my tuna noodle recipe, you saw how I cut an onion. I'll show you again now. I'm just taking out the heart. And then...
Can we finish it, or are you good?
Yeah, I'm just going to show the technique and then you're going to take over. Where are the hearts like mushy? It's weird. This one had a huge heart too, so we're not left with a lot. Forgot to peel it.
Ow. Bit me in the forehead.
So I'm going to cut lines all the way almost to the very end where my hand is holding it, but not quite. And this one's collapsing. Because I removed so much of the heart, or it had a big heart. What a compassionate onion. It's collapsing. So anyways, I cut lines down. Now I'm coming across the opposite way to chop it up into little sections. Just like that. And I'm going to let Stephen finish this. You want to chop it up?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'm gonna rinse this for you. That doesn't really matter, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Next up is some jalapeno. If you don't really like the heat of a jalapeno, you could use green pepper or poblano pepper, which is a little bit milder. I like a little bit of heat. Not a lot, but just a little bit. So I'm going to add some jalapeno.
Oh.
I like my jalapeno pieces sliced real small, so that way if I do bite down on a piece, it's not like super crazy spicy. But again, you can make this as spicy as you want. Or you can omit it overall. Add that. Okay. Now I'm going to chop up some cilantro. I just realized that there's so many items in this recipe that a lot of picky eaters don't like. So if you're a picky eater, maybe this recipe isn't for you. But I find that most people really like Pico de Gallo in general, even if they don't like things like tomatoes or onions. They're like, yeah, but I do love that Pico de Gallo. I believe Pico de Gallo translates to like chicken feed. I could be wrong, but I think so. But I didn't look into the origins of why this recipe is called that. Maybe I will. You can also add in like canned corn, some drained canned corn into this is always really good. Sometimes I do that if I have some on hand. I'm not going to do it today since one of my other recipes will also have corn in it. And I like a decent amount of cilantro. I know not all people have the right taste buds for cilantro. I hear for some people it tastes like soap. So I am sincerely sorry for you if that's the case, because it is so good. I like might have a little bit more. And you're just ripping off the leaves. You don't need to use the stems. That's something my mom always taught me is you don't need the stems. That's not the flavorful part. Okay. Here's how it's looking so far. We've got some tomatoes, some pepper, some onions, some cilantro. Now again, I am making my version, so these are like the way I like them, but you can modify things the way you want them to be. I'm going to add a squeeze of lime, which is a traditional ingredient, whatever method, I don't know. Squeeze my lime in there, and then here's the part that I think is non-traditional, is I like to add a splash of olive oil and some salt. Usually not pepper. could also optionally add a little bit of garlic powder or fresh garlic in there, chopped real small. Sometimes I do that, but usually not often. I will if I'm making like a, if I'm making like a blender salsa, which is basically, it's almost exactly the same as this, but you throw it in the blender so it's more salsa-y instead of being like freshly chopped type of texture. But I don't have a food processor, which I really want. So I have to use my blender, and the blender kind of like overdoes it. Alright, this is looking good. I'm going to let this sit, because the salt with the tomatoes will make them a little juicy, and that delicious tomatoey juiciness will begin to accumulate at the bottom, and it's so good. So I'm going to let that sit. Okay. Now I'm going to move on to cutting up some veggies for my fajitas. I did buy a pre-mixed like fajita mix with beef and peppers and onions already in it and cut. Just makes prep time a lot easier, but you could totally find a nice piece of beef and cut it up yourself and add your own things and own seasonings. I'm just playing it easy today, and you can find that at most like Hispanic grocery stores. So, it looks like this. And actually, this one wasn't even from a Hispanic grocery store. It was just from a regular supermarket. So, it's beef, onions, and then a mix of peppers in there. And then it's usually pre-seasoned, which is really nice. This one is 1.63 pounds. And I got it for $11.39. It's cheaper if you buy chicken fajita mix or pork, but we don't really eat pork, so... I like to add extra veggies in mine, so I always make sure I buy some extra peppers and onions to add in. So I like to really load it up with veggies along with the meat. If you're more of a meat lover, you could leave it as is. So I'm cutting up a poblano. Again, I like a little bit of heat, and poblano provides a little bit of heat. And I'm just going to slice it into strips. This is a leftover one I had, and I do have a new fresh one, but I don't know if I'll need it. Poblano has a little bit of heat to it, not a lot. But you could use green pepper, red pepper, yellow pepper, whatever pepper you want. So I've got those cut into strips. And now I'm going to cut the rest of this onion. You could use white, yellow, red onion for this, whatever. I'm just going to go through and use the rest of my red onion. And I'm just going to cut it into strips as well. And I am an onion lover. Like, I use it in almost everything. But I know that there are onion haters out there. They hate now on onions. Like, I love it so much that I think, not that I think, that I know that onions are my favorite vegetable because I just use them in everything. They're delicious. I'm just cutting around this heart because, again, this heart was like ginormous. So I'm just trying to get what I can out of it. Okay. So that is prepped and ready for it all to be mixed together. So basically what I'm going to do is just heat up a skillet nice and hot and then just throw everything into there to cook. And then while that's cooking, I'm going to let Steven play grill master or saute master, whatever. And then I'm going to start on the next recipe. But I'll show you how we're going to cook these in just a second. Ta-da! Okay, we are ready to throw our meat and veggies and stuff onto our skillet. I've got my largest skillet here. And I'm just going to spray it with some spray oil because I'm using beef. There is going to be some fat, so it'll already kind of be greasing itself. I've got my stove set on like medium, a little over medium-ish, because I do want them to brown, but I don't want them to get dry and overcooked right away. So I'm just going to spray this. This has already been heating up, so it's nice and warm. Or at least it should be. This one, it's funny because this burner that this is sitting on, this one like heats up super fast and like overheats. and like a 2 is like medium heat. And this one takes forever, and it's like the bigger one, but maybe that's why. So anyways, I've got this heating up. I can feel that it's hot over here. I've got my beef fajita mix. One of my pro tips, a few tips. One is, after I cut up a spicy pepper, I forgot to mention this earlier, I always wash my hands twice. Because once seems not good enough. I've, touched my eye and stuff before after having cut pepper. It's not fun. The other one is, I buy the prepackaged fajita stuff for days like today when I want a quick but delicious and effectively satisfying meal, I guess. And again, I like add stuff to it so it feels a little more homemade. You could totally buy your own meat and do this yourself. But anyways, I bought it so that I could freeze it, and then a night like tonight, I just let it defrost all day on my counter, and then it's ready to go by the evening, and I saved myself so much prep time. So this was just sitting in the freezer, and then just defrosted throughout the day. So I'm going to add that. You should hear a nice sizzle. Get ready for some ASMR. Sounds so good. I'm going to add in my veggies. Bring you nice and close. You can see it. So I'm going to let Steven take care of that for a little bit while I film the corn recipe that we're going to make. Okay, so we are going to make some elote, which is like Mexican street corn, but we're making it in the cup kind, not on the cob, which I believe is called esquites or something like that, is when it's in a cup. So we're making that. And I looked at a few recipes online. I've never actually made this myself, but, oh, my air fryer things. But I looked at a couple recipes and I'm just kind of combining them. So I'm going to need 4 cups of frozen corn. Or you can do this with grilled corn that is like freshly grated. We live in an apartment, so getting out the mini grill, waiting for it to totally cool off, putting it back inside is kind of a hassle. It's about 4 cups. And this is going to go into my air fryer. At 350 for about 10 minutes. Now, I find that my air fryer seems to not be quite as, I don't know, good as other ones. Maybe it doesn't get hot enough. I don't know. So we'll see if it's actually 10 minutes. So let's spray it on top. I'm not sure why not underneath. Maybe I should mix it and spray it all. Let's do that. You can hear Steven mixing up the goods in the background. So I'm going to put this in my air fryer. There he is. At 350 degrees. Oops. I haven't used this in a while. For about 10 minutes. Then I'll check it and see where we're at. Now I'm going to put those back in here once they're done so that they can heat up with some of this butter. So I've got, oh, that wasn't quite 2 because this one was cut in half. But I'm using 2 tablespoons of salted butter. And I will need a little more since that was missing a little bit. Okay. They'll go into there and get all toasty and delicious. Now for the rest of the mix, which makes it creamy, I'm using some Mexican crema, which is like the Mexican style sour cream. If you haven't tried it, it's so good. I highly recommend it. I'm thinking I'll store my elote overall in here afterwards. I think I'm just going to mix it all up in here. I think that's the plan. Yeah, so I'm going to measure my things out and put them in here. Need about a 1/4 cup of each. Can you open this? Yes. Please demonstrate how you open. cup of mayo. Really gas mayo. Thanks. Okay. Using my fingers, watch out. Doesn't matter, we're the only two eating this. Quarter cup of mayo. Quarter cup of crema. Never bought this specific brand of crema before, so hopefully it's good. But I have bought Mexican crema from other brands before. I quite like it a lot. Just like slightly different sour cream. I don't know what it is, but it's really good. Yes. It doesn't say how much garlic salt, which is fine, I guess. I'll just add however much I want. Not to be too salty. Maybe I should have gone garlic powder. We'll see how it goes. Anyways. And I will need some lime juice. Fresh lime juice is always the best, of course. Steven, will you squeeze these in there? Thank you. Pinky up. I'm going to mix all of this up. I will let you know if the garlic salt is too salty and maybe I should use garlic powder, which kind of is my gut intuition, but we're going to find out. Although I think the saltiness might be cut out by some of the sour cream and mayo, so it might be okay. I'm just mixing this up for when it's time. I will let this just chill here, so this is what it looks like. In the meantime, let's check on our fajitas. How are the fajitas coming along, Bear?
Coming along great.
Awesome. They're looking so good. It might be time to start heating up some tortillas. So I will show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so this is how I do my tortillas. I'm turning on my small burner between 2 and 3, because like I said, this one gets super hot by a low temp. And I'm grabbing some white corn tortillas that are made in Santa Fe here. I have noticed that like the corporate brand ones, or the mass marketed ones I should say, tend to like break apart a lot easier and they don't last as long. So we buy these local ones. So if that's a possibility for you, I recommend that. How many are you gonna have? Steven?
What?
How many are you gonna have? Do you think?
I'll start at 3.
Okay, so I'll just, let me set this aside for now. She's loving the camera today. So what I do is I take my tortilla and my Sprite oil again, which apparently has been super popular. I'll just do it over this so that falls into my meat here. And I just spray one side of it. Oh, it cut all over the stove. And then with that side, the shiny, oily side down, I'm gonna place it on here. Give it a little tap. And it doesn't take long for it to be ready to flip. I am using some tin foil lined with some paper towel, which is where I'm going to put them, and then close it to keep them nice and moldable. It gives the sense of like being able to fold them into a shape without having to crack, and it keeps them a little warm too. I'm going to do that for all my tortillas. Just wipe up this oil in the meantime. Fajitas are almost done. The corn is working on it. I think it'll be done soonish, hopefully, if my air fryer is doing what it's supposed to. So you can lift this up. I just use my fingers, but like obviously you can use other things. This is like lightly toasted. I like mine burnt. Like I like a little char on there. Oh, my air fryer is going off. We'll have to see how the corn is doing. Let's get some bubbles. Steven likes his a little bit more brown, so I will leave this one a little more brown for him. And I'll make some other burnt ones for me. Stir up some fajita meat in the meantime. It's looking pretty good. It's looking done, I think. The cool thing about cooking like beef is that you don't have to worry as much as poultry, because if it's a little pink inside, it's still fine. Do you want to pull out that air fryer basket and show me how it's looking? It really only takes a minute or two for this. How's it looking? Can you show the camera? Back here.
Oops.
It's looking pretty good. I want it to be a little bit crispier, so let's put it in for just a couple of minutes. But it is looking really nice. Okay, I'm just setting for 5 more minutes. Coming back from our tortilla, and it's nice and browned on both sides now. Putting it inside of this tin foil and paper towel combo, and then I'm just gonna fold it over. So I'm gonna keep doing this with the rest of my tortillas. So when I put it on here, I leave just a little bit off the edge. See how it's kind of crooked? So that way it's easy for me to pick up and flip it. Steven's here modeling this apron my aunt made for me that I totally should have put on for this. Wow. Looking good, looking good. It has pockets. Alright. I gotta move back this way so I can pay attention to what I'm doing. This one's already crisping up a little faster than the last one because the stove plate, whatever this thing is. I have like one of those weird metal coils. It's hotter.
It's reversible.
It is reversible, yes, you're right. The apron is reversible.
I clean up the table.
Oh yeah, that's good. See how this one's got like that burnt little hole? That's like how I like it, but more burnt. Alright, see you guys in a second. This is a good tortilla. Okay, so my air fryer went off again, so I'm gonna get all of this yumminess out of here and into the butter. There was one recipe too that said you could boil the corn, but I thought the air fryer method sounded fun. Some kernels left in there that I'll have to worry about later. Okay, I'm gonna stir this around into the butter. Once this is well coated, I'm gonna transfer it to our mix here. Looks like there's still a little chunk of butter in there, but that's okay, because it's all gonna melt anyways. Okay. I am just mixing it in with that crema and mayo mix, and lime juice, and garlic salt, and then I'm going to top it with some stuff too. Now this is supposed to be served hot, so don't worry if your little creams are heating up, obviously. I feel like I should use more corn. This is looking awfully creamy, but maybe it'll be great. Now I'm gonna top it with some cheese and some seasonings. I've got some Mexican cheese here, queso fresco, queso panela. You could use cotija or cojita, I don't remember how it's called. This is my preferred one. Again, the Walmart by me sells this type of cheese. It's usually a little more expensive and more limited on the types or brands though. So I usually go to like a Hispanic grocery store or a multicultural grocery store to have a better selection of cheese, and that way I get to pick whatever I want. I'm just crumbling it with my hands. Again, we're the ones eating this, so no big deal. If I were serving it to other folks, honestly, I might also use my hands and just make sure they're sugar. So I'm just crumbling it up. I'm so excited. I love elote. Cojita or cotija cheese, whichever way you pronounce it. It's like a finer crumble, and it's usually like pre-grated for you. But I love this like queso fresco cheese so much that I just had to use that. So I've got that in there. And then I'm gonna add some cilantro and some seasonings. Cilantro is totally optional here if you're not a cilantro lover, or you have that weird taste bud like I love. I might add that after. Let's see, so I'm going to chop this up. Holla at Steven's mom for the chef's knives. These are Gordon Ramsay knives, party people. That's Steven just displayed their text trade. Okay. Although they're kind of scary to wash because they cut me off. Okay, I saw several different things you could put atop with this with. I'm going with a little bit of chili powder and a little bit of cayenne pepper for a nice kick. And then topping it with, so this is how it's looking, top it with my cilantro. Yum. Can't wait to dig in. So now everything is ready to be eaten. Okay, so here's what we've got. We've got our fajita meat and veggies, the Pico de Gallo to top your fajitas, some extra lime wedges for fajitas or for the elote. There's the elote. The extra crumbly cheese, because we like to add ours a little bit on top of our fajitas as well, and then our warm tortillas. So I'm gonna plate it all up and then show you one last shot, and that'll be about it. All right, this is the final look at the deliciousness we made today. We've got our fajitas loaded with the Pico de Gallo, that queso fresco. We've got some elote on the side, and we are ready to dig in. Hello from VoiceOver Danielle. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will leave everything down for you below, and I hope you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed eating it. See you next time. Bye.